Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's your favorite girl Favor here. If today is your first time of coming across my YouTube channel, thank you so much for stopping by. On this YouTube channel, we learn how to turn void materials into a beautiful piece. So my loves, for today we are going to be learning how to cut and sew a smoke dress. Now on this tutorial, I am going to be sharing with us the tricks and techniques at which you will use in sewing your smoke dresses to avoid it ripping. You can see how neat this one is. All right, so if this sounds like something you're interested in, let's head to the tutorial proper. So my loves, this is the fabric we're going to be working with today, and this is 1 yard. All right, and in sewing your smoke dress you need an elastic thread. So this thread here is an elastic. You can see how stretchy it is. Now you can get this thread in the market or anywhere. So I've gone ahead to cut out the fabric we're going to be using, and we're going to be cutting the front and the back together. Now this is on fold. You can see there's no opening at this point. So this one is going to be serving as a back, and this one on top is going to be the front, because we're going to be cutting the two together. Now a quick one, when you're cutting out your off shoulder, you know the standard is 6 inches. But for the sake of today's tutorial, I'm going to be minusing 7 inches. All right, so it's 7 inches that we're going to be taking away from our upper part, that is from our shoulder to where the blouse is going to start from, which is 7 inches. Now the normal standard is 6 inches for your off shoulder. You can either do 5 inches, you can do 4 inches, you can do 3 inches. But for the sake of today's tutorial, I am going to be taking away 7 inches. I hope we understand. You minus from your shoulder down to where your top is going to start from. Now from our 7 inches, I will come down by my breast point, which is 10 inches. I will mark it down here. Right, still leaving our tape on the 7 inches. I will mark my under bust measurement, which is 14, and then I'll mark my waist measurement, which is 19, plus 1 inch sewing allowance, making it a total of 20 inches. Now from this point here, I will mark my shoulder divided into 2, which will give us 8. I will mark it down here. Now from that point, I am going to go ahead and get our chest line. I will still minus my 7 inches and mark 8 inches for my chest line. So this is going to be serving as a guide on where we're going to be placing our armhole curve. Now from our breast point here, I will come here and then I'll mark my my round bust divided by 4, which will give me 9.5. Now I'll be adding extra 5 inches allowance to this. So you can do as much as, so if you're cutting for a really plus size person, you can do as much as 8 inches allowance. Okay, now for my under bust measurement, I've imputed it, and I will still add extra 5 inches allowance to it. Coming down to our waistline, I will impute my round waist measurement. I will mark it down here, and I will still add extra 5 inches allowance. Now this basic bodice is totally optional, right? You can either use your biggest body measurement, or you can use your hip body measurement to do this and add your allowances. But for me, I want this top to have a bit of shape, a little shape. So from this point here, I will just give it a curve to get our armhole, and then I will go ahead and connect the lines. Now you can leave it straight up, but I want it to have a little shape. I hope we understand. And for the allowance, you can do as much as 5 to 8 or 10 inches allowance, depending on the body size. So I've gone ahead to cut it out, and this is what we have. Now we are going to go ahead and separate the pins so that we can work on the front pattern and the back pattern. Now for some people, they want to mark it down so that you know where you're running your stitch on. I literally do not do that. Okay, so at this point here, I am going to go ahead and fold this in by 1/2 of an inch. Just fold it in to avoid this fraying, or you can go ahead and weave yours. All right, but for me, I am going to be folding it all around, so I will do it and bring it back. So my loves, I've gone ahead to fold all the edges of the fabric. You can see I folded it round, So the next thing we are going to do right now is to go ahead and keep our fabric aside so that we can work on the elastic thread. So guys, when you are cutting or when you want to sew a smoke dress, it's advisable for you to soak your thread, that is your elastic thread, an hour before you start sewing or before you start using it. Now the essence of this is that when you finish running your elastic thread, to avoid your smoke dress making that noise when you stretch it out as if it's ripping. Okay, now this particular thread I already soaked it an hour before this tutorial. Okay, now you can see that it is settled, and this helps you to stretch out really nice when you soak your elastic thread. You can see this is settling down on the water. Now I'm going to bring another thread, so you can see this one I have not soaked it, and you can see that it's floating. It is not like under the water like the rest of them. Okay, so when you work with your elastic thread without soaking it, it's going to make your smoke dress to be ripping off. All right, so you want to make sure you soak your elastic thread an hour before you start working. And for you to know when your elastic thread is ready for you to use, it has to be sunk inside the water, not floating. Okay, I hope we understand. So with this, your blouse or your smoke dress can stretch to any length you want it to. All right, another important tips you want to take note is that when you're reeling your thread on your reeler, you do not reel it the normal way you roll. All you have to do is you use your hand and roll it on your reeler. Now this helps your elastic thread not to also cut. All right, and it helps your fabric to stretch out really nice. Now when you're sewing, your elastic thread is going to be inside your reeler, that is under your machine, and then your normal thread is going to be placed in the normal way you place it. Now you're going to be sewing on the right side of your fabric, so your elastic thread is under your machine and you're sewing on the right side of your fabric. Okay, now when you're sewing, you use a loose stitch. The loose stitch is your gather stitch, and when you're sewing, you want to use your hand to pull it out. You can see the way I'm pulling it out. You pull it out until you get to the last part of your sewing. Okay, so my loves, after sewing our elastic thread, you can see what it looks like. So this is our smoke dress. Now when you stretch it out, it can stretch to any length, and it's not going to make that sound as if it's ripping off. This is the essence of soaking your elastic thread and reeling it with your hand. Okay, now the next thing we are going to do right now is I'm going to keep this aside so I work on the strap. So this is the pieces we're going to be using for the sleeve, and I have the wideness of this to be 3 inches, but at the end of this tutorial I made use of 5 inches, and the length I work with is 35.5. So for you, if you want your sleeve to be really full, you can do as much as 40 to 50. Now we'll go ahead and fold it border to border like this, and then run a stitch. So I will go ahead, run a stitch to it, and then turn it to the right side, and then I'll bring it back. I will do this for the other one as well. Okay, so guys, I've gone ahead to run a stitch. So this is what I was trying to explain, that at the end of the day I ended up using 5 inches to do it. So unfold is 2.5. Now at this point here, when I ran a stitch, I ironed the joining at the center. Now from that joining here, I came out by 1/2 inch, and then I ran a stitch across. You can see 1/2 inch, I ran a stitch across, and I did the same thing for the other side. Now the essence of this is where we are going to be passing our elastic on. So what I'm going to do right now is I will take my stepping pin, pass the elastic thread through the stitches that we ran at the center of our sleeve. All right, now remember when we were cutting our blouse, I took away 7 inches as the off shoulder. Now that 7 inches times 2 will give us 14 inches. That's for the front and the back. Now the length of the sleeve we're working with is going to be 15 inches. So 1/2 inch for joining the front, 1/2 inch for joining the back. So this here is going to be 7 as the front and the back. All right, so I will go ahead, do the same thing for the other side as well. So I have done this for the second sleeve. I use this measurement of 15 inches to do this other side. All right, so when I measured it, it gave me exactly 15 inches. Remember that the length of the sleeve we are looking for is 14 inches, 1 inch extra for joining. So this is what we have all together. Now this is for the two sleeve. So after passing my elastic case through the sleeve, I will come here and pin it down to avoid it pulling. So this simply means we're going to run a stitch on top of the both side. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is, before you attach it at this point, you want to just go ahead and fold it in by half an inch. At this point, just fold it in by half an inch so that it's going to be neat when you attach it on your main fabric. So that is it for the sleeve. We'll go ahead and work on our blouse now. Now this is our blouse. Remember to give your upper part a notch so that you can easily identify where the upper part is going to be. Now I am going to go ahead and fold our blouse into two, the both side, that is for the front and the back together, and then from this here I will come in by 3 inches. Now I will go ahead and mark the 3 inches at this point. This 3 inches is where we are going to be attaching our strap on, that is our sleeve. So I will go ahead and separate the two. Now this is the right side of our blouse. I will go ahead and pick up one of the sleeve, place it on that 3 inches that we marked. At this point, stitch it. After running the stitch, you turn it to this other side. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and place the back pattern as well. Remember, you're attaching your sleeve on the front side. Okay, place it like this, just follow what I'm doing and you're good to go. So I'll take this, attach it and bring it back. So my loves, I have gone ahead to attach our sleeve onto the blouse, and this is what it looks like. Can you see? Now this is the end result of what we have. Okay, so this is it. So you just go ahead and run a top stitch on it and you're good to go. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn to the right side of our blouse. You can see what the elastic thread looks like on the inside. Okay, now with this elastic thread, you can stretch out this blouse to any length you want depending on the body measurements you're working with. And that's basically it for today's tutorial. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Now if you have watched this tutorial to this point and you're yet to click on the subscribe button, please do well to click on the subscribe button. Share this video so that I get to someone who might find this very helpful, and please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. All right, thank you so much for watching. Most importantly, please do not forget to go green. Do not litter your pieces. Save the ecosystem by disposing your pieces properly. All right, so I will be seeing you guys on our next tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.